Hi friends, I'm Catherine from Research Rockstar, and we're going to talk a little bit about data today. And specifically, I want to talk about qualitative data. So there's a common situation that comes up. I've actually had this conversation with a few people recently in Research Rockstar courses, so I'd like to share this with you. And this is about the role of qualitative data related to quantitative data. In professional market research, when we're getting ready to do a quantitative study, a survey typically, we are going to be designing a questionnaire. And that data collection instrument is critical to the success of our project. After all, if our questionnaire isn't great, we're not going to collect great data and our analysis is going to suffer as a result. So we know we want a great questionnaire. Now, in the past, it was a fairly common scenario for the professional researcher to precede a quantitative phase of research with a phase one, typically focus groups or in-depth interviews. And the idea was that during the focus groups or in-depth interviews, we could do some preliminary hypothesis testing or prioritization of content that would be worth exploring in the questionnaire. So for example, if we're planning on doing a questionnaire related to Greek yogurt, then I might want to do some qualitative research first to make sure that I understand what are the actual attitudes and behaviors that are out there related to Greek yogurt. So that, again, I ask questions appropriately and have the appropriate answer options as well for our survey participants. But these days, sometimes we don't have the time or the budget to do focus groups or in-depth interviews prior to a quantitative survey. It's unfortunate, but the brutal reality is that very often, even when we're doing high visibility studies related to market research and consumer insights, we are really under the gun in terms of budget and time. We need to move quickly, and we simply may not have the budget to do a full qualitative phase one. So the conversation I've had with a few different students recently is, what do I do when I know I need to do some pre-work before questionnaire design? I know I need to prioritize some content. I need to hear customers in the target market speak in their own language to make sure that I'm going to be asking them the right questions. Well, one option is actually to use social media research tools. Now, social media research tools come in a huge continuum from, lower end, much simpler, less expensive to very high end, very robust text analytics, lots of really cool data analysis options at the high end. But like many other tools, you get what you pay for. And you might not necessarily be in a position right now where you're saying, well, I'm not necessarily committing to a longer term social media research program. Really what I'm trying to do is just understand what are the attitudes and behaviors in my target market so I can design a great questionnaire. Well, the good news is that a lot of the tools that are out there do also offer month-to-month options, so you don't necessarily have to sign up for a full year. And in fact, some of the lower end tools even offer free or very low cost monthly fees. So there are options for doing social media research without making a huge budget, long-term kind of commitment. So let's take a look at an example of what this might look like in real life. So I did gave us a hypothetical case study using Greek yogurt. I often use Greek yogurt as an example of a product category in our classes at Research Rockstar because, well, it's just a really fascinating market. I mean, here's a market that didn't even exist 10 years ago in the United States, and now in the United States, if you go into any grocery store, you will see shelves and shelves of Greek yogurt. Lots of brands, lots of product variations. It really makes it a very interesting market to study. So I said, okay, I'll do a mini case study. Let's pretend I'm about to do a quantitative survey on Greek yogurt, and let's pretend my client is looking for that survey to help them identify opportunities to differentiate in this very busy, noisy market. Fantastic. So if I'm looking to help my client understand opportunities to differentiate, I probably want to look at things like, are there things that consumers don't like about the current brands that they use? Are there any unmet needs or sources of pain? All of that stuff would be great to inform hypotheses that then we might test in a questionnaire. So I used a very low-cost social media research tool called Tracker, Trackur, and I gave myself 20 minutes. So what could I learn in 20 minutes? So I specified a 24-hour range, and the social media tool basically came back with over 300 items. And the way these tools work, for those of you who may not have used one, is basically they harvest data from the public-facing parts of the internet. So any mentions of Greek yogurt that were on Twitter, that were on public-facing parts of Facebook, that were on blogs or product review sites. So all of those mentions get harvested by the tool. And again, different tools have different analysis capabilities. In this case, I was really just looking for some, uh, you know, a fast way of gathering a lot of information. I wasn't doing a lot of deep text analytics for this particular case, although there is certainly some sentiment analysis included in Tracker. So what did I learn, and would it help me actually design a great questionnaire? Well, I took 20 minutes and just looking over the results that I got. I first of all saw what brands people were talking about, which was a good sanity check. I did see a lot of information about actual behaviors related to Greek yogurt, which was really interesting to me. Where people are. Are they eating it as a meal replacement? Is it a snack? Is it a healthy dessert? So I picked up a lot of really interesting conversations and comments about how people behave with Greek yogurt. I also picked up a lot about customer aspirations, which can be a really interesting thing to get into. For example, a lot of the comments about Greek yogurt were associated with comments about wanting to be healthy or control one's weight or eat organically. I did also pick up some brand perceptions. Some were positive, some were negative. Again, very useful for my hypothetical case study. But one of the things that came up that was really interesting was unmet customer needs. And for unmet customer needs, one of the things that I found in my 20 minutes of research was a lot of the conversations about Greek yogurt are actually about cooking with it. So it turns out that there's a large part of the Greek yogurt market where people are passionate about actually cooking with it, not just eating it out of the container like I do, but actually cooking with it. And there's a lot of recipe sharing online and people giving each other tips about how to use Greek yogurt in salad dressing or as an alternative to sour cream in recipes. Just a really interesting volume about that. And it ended up being also associated with some unmet customer needs, because people who cook with Greek yogurt had some very specific things that they were concerned about, like different flavors, different size options, shelf life, packaging, etc. So again, it was just a 20-minute exercise, but hopefully this shows that while in an ideal world you might like to do focus groups and in-depth interviews prior to a quantitative phase of research, if that's just not an option, you can use social media research tools to give you an idea about what people are actually talking about. So it's an option that you can use, again, when budget and time don't permit a more structured approach to discovering customer attitudes and behaviors. So I hope that was a useful conversation. I'm always happy to talk with folks about the different options that they have for research. If you'd like to continue the conversation, here's my contact information, and I hope you found it valuable. Thank you.